Hey fellow YouTubers, thanks for tuning into my channel. Tonight I want to discuss something interesting other than politics and something that's just a little more fun for me to do. Uh, when I first started off my channel, I was into UFOs and everything like that, and I researched it pretty thoroughly and kind of just got a little tired of it, but every once in a while I like to do a show on some of the mysteries out there in our world, in the universe today. And this one particularly interests me. It's the Black Knight satellite. If you've never heard of it, it was discovered in 1954. And it was actually in the newspapers and such. And if you know anything about your history, in 1954, we didn't even have a satellite in space yet. The first satellite to launch into space was Sputnik, and that launched into space on October 4th, 1957. So they discovered this satellite basically 3 years before Sputnik even went into space, which was a Russian satellite. But anyway, after they discovered this satellite, they also discovered that it was emitting radio signals or some type of signal. There's been people like Duncan Lunin who supposedly took the signals and basically translated them, and he said it was like a 12,600-year-old invitation from Epsilon Bootis, which is like a star system far away from here. But other than that, I really don't buy that stuff, and I think he even basically came out later and basically how he denied that claim anyway. So we don't know how long basically this satellite has been up there. All we know, it was in polar orbit, and at that time in 1954 we didn't have the technology to send satellites up in the first place. And then second of all, it took us a while to like the 1960s until we could actually put satellites in polar orbit. And the difference with this satellite, it actually goes from I believe it's east to west instead of west to east like normal satellites do. And mainly satellites will be put in polar orbit for observation reasons only, for spying and such like that. So here we have the Black Knight satellite. Sometimes it shows up on radar, other times it doesn't. It has a habit of making itself disappear and then being in a different orbit, and so no one's really been able to track it so far as we know. And basically the photo we have right here is from the astronauts from the Endeavour flight who took these photos in 1998, and they took several of them. And I've watched some other videos on the Black Knight satellite, but as usual, everybody's lost to what it is. Others are trying to say it's just space junk from a secret space program that we had back in the 1950s, which is the Corona project. But the Corona project didn't start till 1959. So this satellite was discovered 5 years before that. And if you take a look at the old images of the Corona satellites, they don't even look anything like this satellite. And so I thought I would do one thing that I normally do with a lot of things. I'll put it in Photoshop, play around with it, and see what I can find. And I think one of the reasons, well, they called it the Black Knight satellite so long ago, so they did that before they even have photos of it. But what's interesting, when I took this picture and I flipped it up, because this photo I'm showing you right now, this one right here, the image is actually flipped upside down from what the original photo was. But in space, as you know, there's no up, down, left, or right, no north, south, west, or east. So I just wanted to zoom in as much as I could. Now when you look at that photo there, what do you see? I'll give you a few seconds to take a look at it. Alright, time's up. This is what I saw almost immediately. This actually looks, this satellite's estimated to be around 10 to 15 tons, so it's a big satellite. What I noticed immediately is like it almost looks like it almost looks kind of like a person. Like here's the legs, here's the arms, here's the hands. They're like cupped together. There you have a chest plate. There's your shoulder plate. There's the neck, and up here it kind of have like the head and everything like that, which is kind of hard to see. This thing right back here, I don't know what that is. Reminds me of like a gas cap to my lawnmower, but that's besides the point. Here we have a satellite that was discovered 5 years before we even put the first satellite into space, and it kind of looks like a giant statue of a giant bipedal being. And what I did was I put it through some filters. I tried to kind of cut it out and try to lighten it up a little bit to see more. There I see more of the shoulder plate, the stomach area, the legs. It's just it's kind of baffling to me. Let me get rid of that. Get rid of this right here. Get rid of that. I tried to run it through some filters to see if I could see it better, and even though every filter I ran it through, there I still see the legs, I still see the hands cupped, you know, I see the chest plate, the shoulder plate, and you almost have kind of like a face, like a helmet here. There's eyes, there's a nose, so it's pretty interesting to me. They're like, if you go and research this on the net, they're saying it's like 13,000 years old, and that 13,000-year-old idea is basically coming from that Duncan Lunan guy who supposedly translated the radio signals, that it was a message from Epsilon Buddhist, which I totally just throw that out. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I don't know how he could translate radio signals anyway from an alien race. You don't have any kind of, you know, bearing as to what the words or the signals or whatever he's getting out of it would mean anyway. So this is what I've found, and I think it's, and I haven't seen anybody else on the internet discover this yet, but actually after I took it through filters, I mean, I could kind of see the body without even running filters on it. I could kind of see it. But after I ran this filter on it in Photoshop, you know, it's a lot easier. You can actually see the nose, the eyeballs, like kind of like a helmet thing, the face. You got the legs here. It's really, really fascinating, and I'd like to know how it got up there or who put it up there. It's actually traveling twice as fast as our normal satellites do as well, which is kind of interesting. So whatever it is, we don't know when it got there, but it's probably been up there for a really long time. And what pisses me off is NASA probably has way better photos that they could share with us of this object, but they're not doing it. And I'm just surprised, or maybe they've already done it. Maybe they've already somehow figured out how to get a shuttle up there and actually pick up this piece of debris that's flying around our planet and bring it back for inspection and that. So we don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions on it. But one thing I did discover that no one else I've seen so far has discovered, that this thing looks like basically a bipedal being in some kind of apparatus behind that. It's kind of like he's in some kind of stasis pod or something like that. And if this was actually a living being, this thing would be big. You know, you're talking like 20, 30 feet tall. So if you want to go back to those stories of when giants walked the earth and all that stuff, how would a giant get into space? You know what I mean? It's pretty interesting. It just creates more questions and answers and that, but I thought I would share it with you guys and get your thoughts on it. So, well, thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to my channel. I put a donation thing down there too, because it does take time and effort to make these videos and such and everything. So, and I don't get a lot of time. I'm self-employed, so I'm pretty busy all the time. So, alright guys, well, take it easy. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Alright, have a good one.